You got the right.
No way.
Get ready for battle.
Give me your money.
Beat the Black Knight.
Check out this absolutely beautiful Black Knight 2000. This game is in amazingly beautiful condition. The original artwork required very, very little touch-up, and I think the customer's going to enjoy it. This is actually another game going to Alabama. And Black Knight 2000 wasn't as popular as Black Knight. It seems to be with the collectors and the pinball enthusiasts that it's either a love-hate relationship with this game. One thing you can't deny though is that the soundtrack is amazing. This game had a much smaller production run. The pinball database estimates about 5,700 2000s were made, and 13,075 originals were made, and apparently that's a production number. We sold over 50 original Black Knights, but only about 19 of the Black Knight 2000s, not counting this one, so this one will make 20. So you can see that there was less than half made, but we've sold about half of the 2000s as we did the originals. Like I said, it's a love-hate with the collectors, and it seems like this game just isn't as popular. If you check out on the pinball database, Taito of Brazil made a Black Knight. They called it Cavaliero Negro, and it looks like the playfield's very similar to the original one, so you have to go on there and check it out. But as usual, we did the usual mods. You can see we have LEDs. Playfield's absolutely immaculate. Back glass is next to perfect. LEDs in the back box. And of course we did the usual mods and repairs. We resoldered all the pins on the boards. I'm actually going to show you in a minute why we do that and what to look for when you're doing that. Alright, so we're over here at the workbench, and I know you hear us talking about reheating boards a lot, flowing solder across the pins here. Right there. And I want to show you why we do it. It's going to be maybe difficult to see. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can, but if you look, try to get the focus back in here. If you look at these pins, where am I at? Right here. This one pin, if you can see the solder, it's not connecting to the pin anymore. The pin's just kind of floating in space. And then what happens is when that solder connection breaks, things stop working. It can take out a whole lamp row, switch column, whatever. So that's why we go ahead and do that. We reheat all these pins. And you can see there's a couple more down here that are not making good connection. Where am I at? Right there. Here's another one right there. And then I'll go ahead and reheat these, and I'll show you what it looks like when they're fixed. Okay, here now you can see that the pins have been reheated, and the solder, we use a silver solder, actually dries as a dull gray. Now you can see that the solder leaves a little bit of flux behind. It isn't a bad idea to just take some contact cleaner spray and clean it off, and this is what pins look like that are reheated. I'll try to get the focus back here for you. Reheat it and clean the flux off. It makes a nice, more professional looking job. And that is why we reheat the boards. New caps, of course, throughout. Reheat all these pins here. And of course, you're familiar with the diamond encrusted battery, the cell phone battery that we use in there. Nice. And you're familiar with all that. I'm sure everybody's keeping up with our videos, and you know the kind of work that we do in our games. This game's got well over 40 hours into the overhaul of it. The one thing that's nice about the Black Knight 2000 is that this upper playfield lifts up, which makes it much easier to service. And you can see underneath here what we did. Completely rebuilt the flippers, cleaned the backing plate, new plunger link, crank, and the stroke switch, and of course coil. And the pop bumpers have been serviced. When we show you the gameplay, you'll see how they respond. Very quick, very responsive, really nice. Here's the underside of the main playfield. Lighting's a little bit better this way, so you can see how nice the flippers look, being completely rebuilt with all new parts. Of course, we reflowed solder on the pins for the lamp boards. And one thing I'm noticing with some of these games is that you need to replace some of these other coil sleeves as well, especially on this one, the ball kick out, and even for the slingshots. It really, replacing the sleeves is a simple way to make sure that the game still is quick and responsive on all the coil action, which is important. You really want the game to play the way it was intended, and a couple of cents for some coil sleeves and a little bit of work will make the game play much, much nicer, pretty much like brand new. One thing here is you'll see that we did replace these Williams coils, and there's two ways you can really tell that they're bad. One is that if you can't get the old sleeve out, or if the old sleeve comes out but the new one won't go in, or it goes in halfway and it gets wedged and you can't get it out and you can't get it in any further. That's a surefire way of knowing that the coils are bad. And it happens that these do burn out a lot, and it's usually due to the end of stroke switch, which is right here. As you can see it opening and closing. Now it's a little bit difficult to see, but it's important that when the one blade closes, it pushes against the other blade, and the other blade should move ever so gently. When you see the inner blade move a little bit, you know that they're making good contact. If they don't make good contact, the flippers aren't going to have enough power. And if they don't open properly, you're going to burn the coil out. Check out the detail in this play field. This play field came out absolutely amazing. Up here you can see we used clear pop bumper caps with purple bulbs, LED of course. And we added a few extra LEDs underneath to light up the bottom of the play field. If you look under here, you can see it lights up the lanes. We put some red LEDs back there, as well as one on the kick-out saucer, which is a little hard to see. You can see it when you're playing. Lights it up, lets you know that it's there. And we actually also added a high-intensity LED back here that lights up the frame. Obviously in a dark room, it'll be much easier to see. You can just see how nice this play field came out on the top. Everything's been taken apart, waxed, new rubbers, new posts, new flipper boots. LEDs throughout. What we did was we went with the reds at the bottom and clear posts. And since we had red posts up at the top, we decided to use the white LEDs. And there's a little bit of purple on the play field in the artwork, as you can see here on the castles. But I like the purple LEDs, and it kind of sets it off a little bit.